Facebook at Shindigs with a Z Bar and Grill. Shindigs, your hootenanny hotspot.
This is the story of a 7-year-old boy from Baltimore who nagged his parents incessantly for a pony until they moved to the mountain. There, over 40 years, I learned everything I could about the farmsteading lifestyle from great mentors.
Ooh, what a lucky man he was.
Oh, and by the way, I got my pony. I named him Captain.
On your mystery ship, on your way to a world that others might have missed.
I want to double check. Hey, welcome once again, Farmsteader's Field Notes. I'm your host, Sean from the Mountain. Glad you decided to join me here on WMBS 590 AM, 101.1 FM, and Facebook Live. Also, www.wmbs590.com. And as always, if you have anything agriculture related that you want me to pass along, let me know. But this is the last show of the season, the last one of 2025. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in all the time that you have. I really appreciate it. But if you have any more information, I'm happy to pass it along on the Farmsteader's Field Notes Facebook page or anything like that. So, again, it's been wonderful to do this show all year. I hope you enjoy whoever's replacing me. I hope they're not like a Valium, put you to sleep. But, hey, we can't all be as exciting as the guys here on the farm, huh? So anyway, we're going to go through our normal thing here on our last show of the season. Why don't we start off with a little bit of news? And in the news, U.S. ranchers oppose plan to import more Argentinian beef. President Donald Trump's plan to cut record beef prices by importing more meat from Argentina is running into heated opposition from U.S. ranchers who are enjoying some rare profitable years, and skepticism from experts who say the president's move probably wouldn't lead to cheaper prices at grocery stores. The National Cattlemen Beef Association, along with the Ranchers Cattlemen Action Legal Fund, United Stock Growers of America, and other farming groups, who are normally some of the president's biggest supporters, all criticized Trump's plan. Hold on here. What's going on here? Because of what it could do to American ranchers and feedlot operators, and agriculture economists say Argentinian beef accounts for such a small slice of beef imports, only about 2%, that even doubling that wouldn't change prices much. South Dakota rancher Brent Kenzie said he wants American consumers to determine whether beef is too expensive, not the government. And so far, there is little sign that consumers are substituting chicken or other proteins for beef on their shopping lists, even though the average price of a pound of ground beef hits its highest point ever at $6.32 in the last report before the government shutdown began. I love Make America Great Again rhetoric. I love America First rhetoric, he said. But to me, this feels a lot like the failed policies of the past and the free trade sourcing cheap global goods. Several factors have sent beef prices soaring, starting with the continuing strong demand combined with the smallest U.S. herd size since 1961. In part, that small herd is due to years of drought and low cattle prices. Beef imports also are down overall because of the 50% tariffs that Trump imposed on Brazil, a big beef exporter, and limits on Mexico, where the country is fighting a flesh-eating pest. Kansas State University agriculture economist Glenn Tonser said Argentina can't produce enough beef to offset those other losses of imports. Through July, the United States has imported 72.5 million pounds of Argentinian beef, while producing more than 15 billion pounds of beef. Much of what is imported is lean beef trimmings that meat packers mix with fattier beef produced in the United States to produce the varieties of ground beef that domestic consumers want. So any change in imports would affect primarily hamburger. Steak prices that were averaging $12.22 per pound probably wouldn't change much. Even if increasing imports from Argentina won't replace prices, the idea creates uncertainty for ranchers, making them less likely to invest in raising more cattle. We're always going to have uncertainty in the world, but the more uncertain something is, the less likely most are to put money on the line, Tonser said. Argentine livestock producers like Augusto Wallace are excited about the prospect of selling more beef to America because he said whenever an additional buyer comes, it's beneficial for everyone, right? For all the producers. But economists caution that exporting too much beef could backfire for Argentina because that would drive up prices for consumers there. American ranchers say the idea of boosting imports from Argentina runs counter to the stated purpose of President Trump's tariffs to encourage more domestic production and help American ranchers compete. It's a contradiction of what we believed his new course of action was. We thought he was on the right track, said the president of the RCAF, Bill Bullard, who hoped Trump's policies would discourage imports and encourage ranchers to expand their herds. Texas A&M livestock economist David Anderson said ranchers are finally getting prices that are going to make them make up for some really bad years in the past with the drought, low prices, and high costs. We finally got some good prices, and we start talking about government policy to bring prices down. Brian Kagi, part owner of Kagi Farms in Amity, Missouri, said he thinks the plan would hurt ranchers. Cattle prices that had been averaging around $3,000 for a 1,200-pound animal slipped more than $100 immediately after President Trump mentioned the idea of intervening in beef prices last week, though they have recovered a bit since then. Although Kagi voted for Trump in the last election, he worries the trade war is hurting farmers and ranchers by driving up the costs and costing them more in the major markets like China. I continue to see things that I don't really think are in the best interest of our country and the average citizen. I hope he starts to see and quits worrying about punishing opponents and winning whatever battle he's involved in, and then tries to do what's best for everybody. Ranchers are hopeful Trump will reconsider this plan. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said Tuesday on CNBC that the administration remains committed to helping ranchers prosper while trying to reduce consumer prices. She promised more details soon about the Argentina plan and a larger effort to reinvigorate U.S. beef production by opening up more land and opening new processing plants while securing trade deals for new markets. The administration wants ranchers to raise more cattle and produce more beef. The bigger the supply, even aligned with the bigger demand, is going to allow these prices to come down, but also to have a vital industry for those ranchers to be able to survive, which in what we're trying to do, Rollins said. Senator John Hoeven in North Dakota said Tuesday that after talking to Trump and others in the administration, he expected to see more details about the policy. It's very, very important that we support our cattle ranchers. He lives in South Dakota. Rancher Corey Ike said he doesn't consider the Argentinian idea a serious threat to the long term and doubts ranchers will make changes to their operation in light of the news. Nobody's happy about it, let's put it that way, he said. But the personal opinion, I thought it was kind of a ruse when he mentioned it. I mean, it's coming from President Trump, so it's kind of hard to take anything too seriously there. Also in the news, avian influenza cases are ticking up. Avian influenza cases are rising this fall, with 23 commercial cases reported in the first 22 days of October. The U.S. had 21 infected commercial flocks in September compared to 1 in August. The number of infected backyard flocks jumped to 26 in October compared to 8 in September and 2 in August. Cases have been reported from the East Coast to the Midwest to the Pacific Northwest. These production flocks under 6,000 birds, three production flocks under 6,000 and birds in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, recently tested positive, along with a backyard flock in Ohio. Fall is a high-risk time for the avian influenza infections because of viral birds spread the disease as they migrate. Also in the news, Growing opportunity with regenerative agriculture. Farmers across Pennsylvania are exploring ways to protect their land, meet changing meat market demands, and open up new income streams. Regenerative agriculture has been a hot topic, and for some, it's a natural next step for practices they've been using for years, like no-till planting or adding conservation buffers. For others, it's a newer approach, fueled by customers who want to know exactly where their food comes from and how it's produced. Regenerative agriculture is about working with the land instead of against it, keeping the soil healthy by leaving the ground untilled, planting more natural grasses, cutting back on chemicals, and creating buffer strips to protect waterways. Done right, it's an investment in the farm's future, but one that takes planning, patience, and the right financial support. The decision to move toward regenerative methods isn't always easy. Smaller farms, or those already dealing with tight margins, can feel the financial strain right away. New equipment, labor changes, or shifts in production can affect cash flow, and it may take several years before the investment truly pays off. Farmers can explore local resources such as Pennsylvania's Resource Enhancement and Protection Program, also known as REAP, which offers tax credits to offset the cost of conservation practices and equipment. There are other grant and cooperative programs that can help make the transition more affordable. Layering these tools together can go a long way towards easing the financial load. Shifting to regenerative practices isn't something that happens overnight. It takes careful planning and a clear look at the financial side of the business. Farmers need to review their budget and determine if their current income can cover added costs and consider the impact of existing debt and if additional financing will be needed before moving forward. We encourage farmers to come to the table with their plans and their projections. Once those numbers are in place, different scenarios can be tested to see if the plan will hold up under pressure. That process takes time, but it helps ensure the transition is not only possible but sustainable for the years ahead. Here in Pennsylvania, we've seen the grass-fed movement gain real traction, and the market for these products is growing. Grass-fed milk and beef often require a premium price to make up for the lowering yields, but customers are increasingly willing to pay for food they feel good about. We're also seeing roadside stands, on-farm markets, and agritourism ventures become an important part of this shift. Those side businesses have helped farmers fund new equipment or conservation projects while building their closer relationships with their communities. Direct-to-consumer sales have become a lifeline for some farms since the pandemic, and in many cases we're seeing that they are here to stay. Regenerative agriculture is about building something that will last. We've seen how, with the right combination of conservation practices, marketing opportunities, and traditional planning, it can strengthen both the soil and the bottom line. For farmers in Pennsylvania, this venture can help leave the land in better shape for the next generation and keep agriculture thriving well into the future. And finally in the news, we're hoping that the Farm Bill will restore trust. Members of Congress are currently considering a skinny farm bill that, despite its diminutive name, will impact every person in this country who eats. As they deliberate, they must prioritize the people and farmers left behind by the one big beautiful bill. The bill used SNAP cuts to fuel farm subsidy increases that benefit only a select few, all while abandoning the vast majority of programs that meaningfully invest in most farmers and the communities they call home. Updates and reforms to the farm safety net are vital, but these investments cannot be made at the expense of the American families facing food insecurity. Every successful Farm Bill coalition has been built on the foundation of bipartisanship, and the next Farm Bill will be no different. Farmers in the network share a vision for a future where together we utilize agriculture policy to foster our mutual prosperity. The Federal Farm Bill, the keystone policy of the American food and farm system for the last century, is fundamental to that vision. Our food safe system begins with family farmers and the communities that they call home. A good farm bill would level the playing field by supporting fair and competitive agricultural markets, alongside vibrant local and regional supply chains. A farm bill worthy of this vision would invest in accessible and healthy food by ensuring that families can purchase a healthy diet with dignity and empowering communities to buy nutritious food from local fisheries and farmers. A good farm bill would ensure that our food is safe, free from toxins, working in tandem with state and local pesticide laws, and also meet animal welfare standards. An impactful farm bill would harness the expertise of farmers themselves through investments in on-farm training programs, farmer-to-farmer education, and farm-based research. For the food and farm workers who made our food system possible, a good farm bill would ensure a living wage and a protection from harm and harassment. It would ensure that American farmers, including those who are diversified, organic, young, indigenous, black, people of any kind of color, can have fair access to the essential tools that need to thrive, from credit and insurance to affordable land and an opportunity to build climate-resistant businesses. Finally, a good farm bill would fully address the devastating and ongoing impacts of the USDA's office closures, reorganizations, relocations, as well as the uncertainty exacerbated by funding freezes, award terminations, and staff firings, all of which have weakened the department's ability to serve farmers, rural small businesses, and food insecure communities. I urge members of Congress to strive for a farm bill that restores Americans' trust in the federal government. Anything short of that fails our farmers, our communities, and us all. And that was a commentary by Deanne Weber, and it was put in the Lancaster Farmer. So I agree with that 110%. I'm just as frustrated as everybody else in the farm community with this current state of our government and the United States Department of Agriculture and the USDA Secretary, Brooke Rollins. Personally, I think we'd be better off with Henry Rollins. He'd be just as qualified. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's one of my favorites. Anyway, so that being the end of the news for this year, 2025, a little bit bleak, especially with all that's going on governmentally, but hopefully we'll be doing some rebounding, and hopefully next spring we'll have a clearer idea of what the plan is and what's going to happen. There's nothing worse than uncertainty for farmers. And I want to encourage all of our farmers that are still struggling out there to reach out and seek help. It's very important that we do that. Don't let anything sort of push you in the wrong direction. For heaven's sakes, we know that we are in an industry that has the highest suicide rate by far. So again, I'm just going to mention that Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. All you would do is dial pound 988. And if you want to talk specifically with somebody who's in the world of agriculture, the AgriStress Helpline is a free 24-hour, 7 days a week, designed for farmers and their families, kind of a hotline that can help you talk about any kind of issues that are stressing you or driving you crazy before it becomes too much of a psychological issue and too much of a disorder. And that number is 833-897-2474. Again, 833-897-AGRI, A-G-R-I, 2474. Okay, so not much left going on in the markets, but hey, let's do it anyway.
Look! I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it! Look! I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams, hogs, dogs, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rabbits, you name it! Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, rams.
It's the last show. I got to play them anyway. Unfortunately, farmers markets all but done, but we still do have a couple of our poultry associations and some of our groups that are still doing buy, sells, and trades. The Indian head swap is now done, and we are left with one more, November 16th, the Uniontown Poultry Association at the Fayette Fairgrounds, 7 a.m. That's going to be their very last one for the year, November 16th. Also, the Busy Beaver swap held every Sunday from 8 to 11, 401 Vine Street, Route 22, next to the Walmart. They're going to have two more. So Busy Beaver Swap's going to have two more. One's going to be November 2nd, and then their final one will be December 7th. And again, just want to remind everybody that they don't do puppies and they don't do kitties. They want me to reiterate that. The Humane Society doesn't care for that. So let's talk about, how about one more recycling project that I thought was pretty cool. Let's talk about recycling. I know on my recycling segments, usually I talk about sort of small things that you can do at home. But I thought this was so cool, and I think it's wonderful what they're doing. In Italy, they are recycling old school buses, decommissioned school buses that can no longer be used to transport kids for one reason or another. And, we really do look over the school buses pretty hard because it's the safety of the children. So for whatever reason, whenever they decommission a school bus, they're turning them into mobile food pantries. And what I've seen of them, they can be as basic as something that's hauling boxes with dry goods in them, to really elaborate transformations into wonderful kitchens that they're actually preparing food for people right there. So, these are kind of ideas that I hope that we can kind of do in this country, that where other people are thinking about them. They're thinking outside of the box, trying to recycle and do things that are really moving everybody forward. And for heaven's sakes, I mean, if you can buy a school bus for virtually nothing out there, why in the world wouldn't you? I mean, it just seems like, the perfect solution to transport things around. And we got a lawnmower outside. It's making a lot of noise. Anyway, but at any rate, yeah, I mean, let's just get some old school buses. Let's transform them. Let's travel around a little bit. I think it would be pretty beneficial to everybody out there if we could do that. I think it's a wonderful idea. So kudos, again, not in this country, but maybe it'll happen here again. Also in the recycling, I've seen a tremendous number of ideas of what we can do with basically shipping containers, the same kind of ideas. Shipping containers lately have been integrated into making outdoor food kitchens as well, but they've also been using them in dairy situations to create somewhat of a separate section. I know a lot of our dairy farmers have to have separate entities when it comes to containing their milk and processing milk, and they're doing a lot of that with our shipping containers. So anything like that we can recycle, that we can reuse, that we can do with dual purposes with, why in the world wouldn't we do that? So just a final idea in the recycling section for 2025. Let's talk a little bit about auctions. How about that?
He's the best of all the auctioneers. $45 bid, $1 bid, $1.50. Will they give me 50? Make it 50 bid on a $50. Will they give me 50? Who'd bid a $50 bill? $50 bid and now 55. Will they give me 55 to make it a 55? A bill of 55. I sold that home for the $50 bill. Hey, well, all right, sir, open the gate and let them out and walk 'em, boys. Here we come, a lot number 29 in. What are they going to give for 'em? I'm a 25 to get 35, another 50, make it 50, bid it on a 59, 60, will they give me 69, 75, and 85, and 95, 100, and 25, and 50.
I really don't even have that much to talk about, but I'm just like driving TJ crazy and making him key up all that music because, he's not going to have it all year. So we got to give him a little bit just in case, he's going to go through a little bit of withdrawal symptoms there. Anyway, but in our auctions, Grantsville, Preston County, which is the Terra Alta sale, Friends Stockyard, Waynesburg, South Branch, Weston, 84, all of them are going to be doing these fall feeder calf sales. And just like you heard there, people are trying to increase the beef herds if they possibly can. The prices are going to be high. Occasionally if you can catch the stray comment from President Trump like he did last week, where he can drop the prices several $100s in the 1 week just by saying we're going to start importing Argentinian beef, then maybe you might luck out and find some real steals and real bargains out there. But the people that are really in the beef industry are saying maybe not the best time to start increasing the beef herds with the prices being so extravagant right now, but it's up to you. I mean, they're out there. You can find good deals if you really are interested in getting started in the world of beef cattle. It might be something for you to think about. I don't know, but it's there, and the availability is going to be very, very strong for a while, just based on the fact that people are going to want to sell during these high prices. This is the best time for them to do it, so that's what they're up to. If you have another idea of how to get into the world of beef, you might just want to start thinking outside of the box of actually purchasing cattle, but maybe coming up with some kind of a product to sell to beef people, consumers. To be honest with you, I hesitated about purchasing beef this year. It was one of the things that I didn't do. I would like to just take a few moments and talk about my sort of the year in review. Let's sort of kind of go back over sort of the things that happened now that I've gotten onto this topic. But livestock in general, I tend to purchase a few young beef cows, and I some of them are still even on the bottle, and I can utilize some of my overproduction of goat's milk. I milk goats twice a day. Anybody that knows me knows I've had them forever. In addition to all the animals that we have out grazing and moving around beyond the beef animals, those are the dairy animals that we have on the farm. Unfortunately, I always tend to keep too many of them. They become sort of pets to me, so I end up keeping too many, and the way that I offset it is by raising more pigs on milk over a longer period of time and raising young calves for beef over a longer period of time, so on milk. So this year, we knew the prices were going to be sky high. Even before President Trump took office, in the Biden administration, we saw a heightened value in beef. We saw the prices going up. So it really had nothing to do with our current president. He didn't do anything, even if he's claiming credit. The beef prices were up there, and they were continuing to be up there. So I didn't purchase any this year. So that was kind of a failing, and I'm going to sort of miss that home-raised beef this year. So that was kind of a con versus a pro for me. But I can tell you that my other livestock did well. We raised a lot more in the way of pork, several more litters of pigs born this year. That was some of the pros. Some of the cons in that was that we figured out pretty quick which of our sows were good mothers and which of our sows were kind of crappy mothers, and we had to sort of kind of cull those out. So, in production, you always have to kind of do that, but I really thought that we were going to have more sows breeding and having litters than what I had, but I had higher numbers in the litters than what I thought I was going to have as well. So it did sort of even out there, pros versus cons. Chickens were another crazy one this spring. Anybody trying to buy chickens, I said right off in the beginning this spring, I said, if you can avoid buying chicks, avoid buying chicks. There was sort of a backlog of requests for chicks that happened in the spring this year. Everybody kind of wanted them. The avian influenza thing happened, and unfortunately the availability was very, very low. So people were paying ridiculous prices for chicks, and they were waiting for months and months to do it. So again, I didn't get into that. I didn't get into the purchasing of chicks then. I'm purchasing some now. And, I am going to have to use some heat lamps. I'm going to have to use a little more, maybe a little more electricity to keep these little buggers alive. But by springtime, that should be enough that we should start seeing these young pullets laying eggs. And we should start into it right off the bat, early in the spring. So, again, you don't have to do what I tell you to do, but that was just my recommendation. Maybe, if you have the ability to keep them warm and to raise chicks in a healthy environment, now it's not a bad time to go ahead and do that. So again, pro versus con. I wasn't able to raise them in the spring like I like to, but here we are. And and the truth of the matter is I didn't have a whole lot of other things going on. Calves, pigs, goats, sheep, that's all in the spring. So this fall, we're probably going to have another litter of pigs this fall, but beyond that, not a whole lot of young being born. So it was a good opportunity for the chicks. Same thing with the ducks. I still have my ducks, the Ancona ducks, and we keep improving those. They're a sort of a young breed, the Ancona. So I keep trying to select the best out of those and only maintain those. I know that whenever you look at some of the critical breeds of livestock that we have, everybody thinks that you really should just keep breeding and just keep them, get the numbers up. But the truth of the matter is, really, you have to be even more strict in your culling. You have to be more vigilant when you breed those kind of animals, because the critical animals need to be tougher and stronger, and they need to endure. So we need to be able to go through and pick the best ones and keep breeding the stronger and the better ones. That's what's going to keep the breed going, not just holding on to all of them. So again, I think that that was a little bit of a pro for me this year as well. Again, I said with the dairy goats, I had more of those than I probably should have gotten, than I should have kept. The con, I should be culling heavier. A lot of those could go potentially. I breed too many of them. I do every single year. Pro, we're getting better with the artificial insemination end of it. And so I'm enjoying that, and I'm doing a lot of cool stuff there. And so there we go. Again, didn't have much to deal with it with the cows. Didn't have much to deal with anything else on the farm this year. And far as the garden went, I did potatoes, white and sweet, onions, squash, carrots, broccoli, green beans, zucchini, cucumbers, peppers, sweet corn. All of them did well. I don't do it on a huge scale. I do it basically for myself and the close family. So the things that we've learned in terms of composting and rotational growing and all of that really played into it this year. Obviously, the weather was a huge concern. We started off with deplorable rain that sort of put a pause on everything, and then the extended dry right after it. And again, if you listen to the show throughout, we're constantly discussing what we need to do to keep water back, to retain a lot of that water, so that we can reuse it and recycle it later in the year. Because we knew it was going to happen. We had seen this. It was in pretty much all the cautionary tales that we were going to have another dry summer, and nobody really believed it when they saw as much rain as we had in the spring. So. Luckily, I had enough foresight to save tanks of water strictly for the gardening, and I had a beautiful garden this year, really beautiful garden. So those were the pros. The cons, again, some of the things that I encounter in terms of pests and issues, because I won't use insecticides. So again, I'm not doing the big commercial garden, but I did well with it. I used as many home remedies and old farmer techniques as I possibly could without going out and getting sprays. I also did as much as I could without utilizing fertilizers. I mean, the whole Ukrainian conflict right now has, if you used commercial fertilizers, it's got those running out through the roof. It's just outrageous how expensive all those are if you're actually utilizing them. So we've done everything I possibly could to avoid it and not have to use any of that stuff. None of that glyphosate, none of that, additional phosphorus and blah, blah, blah. Weeding. I've learned so much about preventing weeds just by, stockpiling with the compost and being a little bit more proactive in the weeding. And I haven't had to use any of that nonsense like Roundup or any of that garbage to pollute the food that I eat. So those were all pros that happened with me in this year. Also, I would say that I had a big success with the rotation of the fields that we keep the livestock on. And so I was really excited about that. We did great things there. I'm seeing plants growing in these fields that haven't been there since I've been there, so I know that we're rejuvenating seed beds that are long gone. And just by the number of wildlife that have returned, that have tried to gobble it before my own livestock get at it, I know it's good stuff. And it's not weedy, gross stuff. It's actually beautiful grasses, long gone grasses that are coming back into some of these fields. So the regenerative programs and stuff that we're doing, I'm very excited about. All that was pros. Again, maybe some of the cons were that I attracted more deer than I wanted on the property. They just been coming in there and feasting on it as fast as they can. That might be a con, but the pros have been just a wonderful regenerative operation all throughout. So I'm very excited about that. Before we close out for the day, I do also want to review some of the guests that we had this season, and they've been wonderful guests, but these were some of my favorites. We had the originator and the constructor of the Treadlite Broad Fork, which is a tool that goes into the ground and breaks up the ground. And it was in our Made in America segment, and to have somebody to have enough thought process to create a hand tool that is improved on an old technique, taken it and made it better, made it stronger, tested it a bunch of times, and did the entire product made in this country, I thought was wonderful. And when we talked to them, they were just as excited about it as the day they invented it. So I think that was wonderful. I thought it was a great segment. If you haven't bought a Treadlite Broad Fork, go on their website and investigate it. And they've got a lot of opportunities to buy them, and a lot of rebates and things that you can use, coupons and whatnot to purchase them. It's a great investment. It's a garden tool that I really, really love. So I enjoyed talking with them. After them, we talked with our friends out here in Acme, Pennsylvania, Springtop Farms. They have a little farm store on their property where they were making things from goat milk, the goat milk soaps, the goat milk lotions, just a number of things, the bath and body products and things like that. And they were selling them out of their farm store. And they have a creamery that they're constructing now that will hopefully be open soon. So that was a wonderful little inspiring story to talk to them. That was Springtop Farms. Really enjoyed talking with them. We also talked this year with Valerie Sessler, who is the Area Master Garden Coordinator at Penn State. And I had wanted to talk to her for a long time because she is obviously the coordinator of a very passionate group of people that all came together and learned. What really impressed me about the Master Gardener program was that these people continually educate themselves over and over and over again at their own expense. What they're doing is they're being the mentors for other people, and the biggest contribution that they're going to ever give is helping to create the pollinators in all of these places. It's not enough for me to do it on my farm. It's not enough for me to just let part of my farm kind of go wild, or to grow goldenrod and to grow milkweed and things that are good for pollinators and the monarch butterflies and the bees and everything. We have to have places sporadically throughout this country where these migrating insects can stop and can still eat. And so it's extremely important that the Master Gardener program continue. And I just thought it was a fascinating discussion with Valerie. And this just seems like a very, very busy woman because she's actually the coordinator of several counties for that program. And you can tell how important it is if Penn State's still, financing it and putting their backing on it, because man, they're getting trimmed. They're cutting back everything they possibly can. But the Master Gardener program still with us, and they did some wonderful displays this year. I went to a ton of fairs this year. If I wasn't judging fairs, I was walking around and exhibiting or doing something at a fairgrounds for somebody, helping out or something. And everywhere I went, I sort of walked into the exhibition halls, and you could see where the Master Gardeners always had some kind of a display, and it was always something different. From the pests. Again, I saw a great display where they had done little cross sections of trees and branches so that you could identify trees better. They were all labeled. They were all identified. It's one of my weak points on the farm. I can tell you that. I'm not bad at identifying the obvious. Kinds of trees out there, but then there are some that sort of I look at and I think that doesn't quite look like a birch. Maybe it's a beech. Maybe it's a this. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell. But they had a wonderful display that, like I said, had little cross sections that helped people understand some tree identification. I thought that was kind of wonderful too. And of course, they had displays about the spotted lanternfly, which has just been a real pest this year. I mean, that's been a real horror story for anybody that's trying to grow produce, because they are just voracious on our fruit trees. And so, again, I saw more of those this year than I've ever seen before, and they have moved this way. When I saw them before, it was mainly to the east of us, and I didn't really see them. This year, thankfully, my chickens seem to like the taste of them, so they've been chowing down on them. But I've been seeing them down here, especially in the lowlands, more and more. And when we were at the Fayette County Fair this year, I saw them there quite a bit too, and that sort of surprised me down there at the fairgrounds. Speaking of the fairgrounds, we had our live broadcast from the Fayette County Fair, which was always a lot of fun. Me and Josh Krysak, and I always enjoy when he joins me on the show because he always asks me a lot of questions and bats it back and forth between the two of us, and we always have some nice banter. And so it was another wonderful fair down there. Again, we talked with the 2024 Fair Queen Haley Bill, and she came back and told us everything about that. That was a wonderful revisit with her. And if you watched that show, you saw that she was offered an internship here at WMBS, and it looks like she's actually going to go through with it, and she's going to do it. So that's wonderful, and it's going to be wonderful to have her around here. Such a hardworking young lady, and all the stuff that she's done to help her community in that position, just a tremendous young lady with a wonderful, hardworking work ethic. So we're looking forward to seeing her around here at WMBS. So keep your eyes open for that. Also, we talked with our friends Lena Galling at Lippincott Alpacas out near Waynesburg, and she had that wonderful festival, and I had been knocking down doors. I had been trying to get an alpaca person to talk about them for the longest time, because when I got started in agriculture as a very young man, they didn't exist here. There were maybe a pet here and there, but you didn't see them. But in my years in agriculture, they have literally exploded, and they're just about everywhere. And I've seen them pretty much every fair that I've gone to in one way or shape or form. Even if they didn't make it into the show ring or something, one of the 4-H kids did a display about them or something. But anyway, Lena had a wonderful field day that actually ran the weekend, and it was something that I'm so glad that I went down and participated in. She gave me a wonderful tour of the place, really was descriptive, and just so full of information and so full of passion about the alpacas that it was a wonderful day. And she has her farm shop down there that is open. For heaven's sakes, take a look at it if you're thinking about maybe some Christmas stuff, some Christmas gifts. Let me tell you, alpaca socks, man, they're the way to go. They are the way to go. And so for heaven's sakes, take a trek down there to Lippincott Alpacas in Waynesburg. Look her up. She's got a Facebook page, and I'm sure she's got a web page too. But just a very, very passionate group of people, the alpaca people, and just what really was a niche market in agriculture is just expanded and exploded. I mean, it's one of those things that I just really love to see, because in agriculture, we're not reinventing the wheel. We've always grown food. We've always had livestock, but we have to find these small areas that haven't been explored, and we have to expand on them if we really want it to survive. So it's already the end, the last show of the season. It's already, I can't even believe it. It's here. It's done. I'm getting the signal to get off the air here. Anyway, I will say this. We like to have a lot of fun here at Farmsteader's Field Notes, and now that we're done, you can concentrate on other important things, and I know for TJ that's going to be foosball, football, foosball. So if you want to concentrate on something important like that, I know there's still people that are upset that Bad Bunny is going to do the Super Bowl halftime show. You know what just comes to me? We should get Taylor Swift to do it. Well, you know what? No, you're right, TJ. Not Taylor Swift. I think she's already been ruined football enough. Anyway, you combine her with the Chiefs, her last album with the Chiefs, and you get, the Cleveland Browns. Anyway, if you're still worried about somebody representing your values at the Super Bowl halftime show, why don't you think about P. Diddy? I think he's kind of available. Just kidding. Anyway, try to keep it light out there, folks. Enjoy the time that you have off here, away from all the heavy workload. Remember, we're all just future compost. I will see you next May here on Farmsteader's Field Notes. Thank you so much for joining me all year. See you next time.
You're listening to WMBS Uniontown. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our national